I feel like it's a serious podcast when Nero is on. Like,
it's a big one. It's a category.
Category.
Mate, I'm the fucking special guest, mate.
Yeah. So on Super Sunday when they sometimes have like 5 pundits, like those big games.
I'm Thierry, mate. Thierry.
Yeah. You want next season, some Europa League game. It's just gonna be me and Raj just chatting.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Myers is not
Champions League next season, guys. Come on, let's top 4 right now.
Yeah, mate. Top 4.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Arseholics. Thank you for tuning in. As always, if you're watching on YouTube, we'd really appreciate that thumbs up. It helps support the channel. And if it's your first time watching, subscribe and share us and this with any other Arsenal fans that you think might enjoy listening to us. How are we doing, boys? Nero, Raj, Aaronen?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Yeah, good. Good game.
Just
Raj,
recovered.
Have you prepaid your Wi-Fi today, or are we going to get
downstairs? I would scan across to the router over there, but my laptop is precariously balanced on a couple of books, so just take my word for it. Yeah, the router's there.
Fine.
So no problems.
Good stuff. Yeah, we're just getting over what happened earlier then. I don't know where and how we start to dissect this one, but West Ham 3, Arsenal 3. Crazy game. Let's start, I guess, as we always do with the lineup. So quite a few changes Arteta made for this one. Brought in Chambers at right back. Mari playing alongside David Luiz, so Gabriel on the bench. And both Aubameyang and Lacazette starting. We thought Aubameyang was going to start on the left, but he ended up actually starting the game on the right. And Saka back from injury as well. Nero, thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah, surprised, as you just mentioned, surprised Aubameyang started on the right. Obviously, he's always played on the left for us. Probably seems to be more of his natural position if he's not playing up top. And obviously, Saka is quite flexible, can play left or right. So that was a bit of a... Didn't understand that decision, to be honest. Odegaard obviously was on the bench on Thursday. So, yeah, fully expected him to come back into the team. Strongest midfield possibility, Partey, Xhaka. So happy with that. And, yeah, as we've discussed many times, the back four are all sort of pretty interchangeable, really. Was really happy that Chambers was given another opportunity to start. Thought he played really well last time he started for us. So was quite pleased for him as well after his long injury to start getting consistent games. David Luiz Mari. It seems like David Luiz is our sort of main. Looks like he's sort of the main centre back, and they're rotating the others to see, or Gabriel and Mari anyway, to sort of work out who the best combination with him is.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because Holding was first choice not that long ago, and obviously that's changed. So I still feel like we were talking about this, weren't we? Because not to spend too long on this point, but Luiz and Gabriel had started the previous 3 games together, and we almost felt like that might be his first choice pairing. I don't know if that indicates where he values the league games over the Europa League, but we've got a 2-week break anyway, so we're probably expecting Gabriel to play in today. But I guess it offers that flexibility, but slightly concerning that we still don't have a set centre-back pairing. We've talked about it quite a few times. Okay, so awful start really in terms of just generally. We didn't come into the game or start the game well at all. We let West Ham kind of take the onus, dominated, and that really was shown by the first half an hour or so with the 3 goals that they scored and obviously going 3-0 up. I don't know where we start on this because it was just terrible, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was weird because when you analyze the first 20, 30 minutes, especially the first 10 to 15 minutes, we couldn't get the ball. And I think you have to give West Ham credit because they were really, really good. They were pinging it around really nicely, bypassing our midfield, going straight down like the left and right flanks and just throwing those crosses in. And Lingard and Antonio were everywhere. And our midfield just completely couldn't get into the game. And I'm not sure how much of that was down to West Ham being good, because I think they were very good. But I think you also have to assume that for whatever reason, and to be honest, I'm not really sure what it was, what we were doing just wasn't working. I know Auba started off on the right and Tierney was very far forward, and then towards I think after the first or second goal, we moved back over to the left because it clearly wasn't working, and he wasn't really doing his defensive work. So yeah, but I also think you have to give West Ham a lot of credit because they were very good.
Yeah, it really looked like it was one team who were playing with tactics they understood, that they were familiar with, that they knew how to execute, and a team that was on form. It looked like West Ham were that, and we looked like the opposite of all of that. We looked like we were playing tactics we didn't understand. We looked like we were off form. We looked like, we were just really disjointed. It was just chalk and cheese. And I remember it just feeling, particularly, I think that period, the first 7 to 10 minutes, it just felt like we were playing a far superior team to us. I said to you guys,
said it, didn't you? Right? Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. I was saying, at the end of the day, if they had Man City shirts on, I wouldn't, it would have been the same kind of domination that I would have expected. And it just looked like it didn't work. And just with regards to the formation and how that links to this, we've got to just give up trying to predict the formation. I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, but I think even in the ways, because Aaron, you were talking beforehand about, you thought maybe Chambers may have started, and you had rationale for why you thought that. But it's interesting because even the rationale applied to what we thought could be reasons for starting Chambers actually didn't manifest in that way. It wasn't a case where we expected him to be this attacking threat in the game. Do you know what I mean? It's just really all just no idea, and it felt like the players didn't really know what they were doing either.
It was interesting because if you listen to Arteta's post-match conference, he touched upon it, where he's basically said that the idea behind starting Auba on the right was he said it was a deliberate choice because the way we set up was it sounded like to get Auba in on, I guess, his coming in when we build up play on the left. But he then said, look, we then had some defensive problems down that side. And that sounded to me like Ødegaard just wasn't doing a good job tracking back.
Interesting.
And then he switched over. And I think actually it probably leads us quite nicely up to the first goal, because there's this part where the ball comes down West Ham's left when Ødegaard's on the right. And you probably don't notice it, but Ødegaard just doesn't really do anything. And it basically then forces Chambers completely out of position. And from that point on, he's running back to goal, and that's basically how they scored.
Well, I didn't notice that. At all. And it felt, because I didn't see that interview bit that you just mentioned, Aaron, but I saw Arteta at the beginning of the game mention, it sounded very simplistically. He sort of said, yeah, we've been creating lots of chances and not necessarily finishing, hence the thought process of putting two strikers in, hence the process of having Lacazette and Ødegaard in. And I remember my first reaction to that was, that's a very simplistic way of looking at the thing. And obviously, knowing Arteta and knowing that he is a tactician, there obviously must have been more to it, which I guess is like what you're saying. But I think whatever the case, it just didn't work, did it?
Yeah, because if you heard Lacazette's post-match conference and Arteta's, they both touched on the point that the first sort of 35 minutes was poor because they didn't execute the plan. I don't know if that's because West Ham came out at such a high tempo, they're winning, all the second balls. Maybe, I don't know if that threw them off our game, but for whatever reason, I think the players and the manager acknowledged that whatever game plan we had, we didn't stick to in the first 35 minutes, and that's probably why we went 3-0 down.
It feels like it was probably, I see what the Arteta saying about the game plan, but it just felt like they just weren't even up for the game. And we've seen that a lot with Arsenal under Wenger towards the latter stages. Just coming into games, we all get excited about them, and building up to the game, what I mean. And there's just nothing there. I feel like it was even more than not following the plan or the tactics. It was just players not being up for it. Not doing basics right. We couldn't even string a few passes together. And I think I said that apart from Ødegaard, everyone looked terrible.
Yeah. And you can't really blame the, obviously there's talks about, the Europa hangover and whatnot, but we played at home. We had a good squad rotation from that game to this game. So I think that's an easy excuse to use. Yeah, but I completely agree. I don't think you can blame Europa or even the high intense North London derby we played last week. It was just disappointing that West Ham were pumped up for it a lot more than we were at the beginning, and you could see that they wanted it.
And it's interesting, right? Because if you then look at the second half of the game, or at least 40 minutes onwards, you saw the level we took it to play well. And it was a noticeable intensity increase from how we were playing in the first 35 minutes. So yeah, I think you're right, Miles. Yeah, the game plan was wrong, I think. At least at the start, we're playing over on the right. But we also executed it very badly because we just weren't at it mentally. The passes were sloppy, the energy levels were bad. There was a lot of things that went wrong in that first 25 minutes, not to mention the fact that we made some horrendous, stupid errors as well.
Yeah, I'm a big Arteta fan still, right? But if I could be critical, one of the feelings I had was it felt like he was being a bit arrogant, because it felt like he was trying to, again, he's going into a pretty big game against a team that are doing very well this season. And he's trying something that he's not done before, and he's putting players in positions they've not played before. And it was almost like he sort of felt, look, anything I touch turns to gold with regards to tactics. I know exactly what I'm doing. And I just felt he could have been a bit more conservative with respect to, trying fewer new things in one go, and just maybe doing a similar tactic that served us quite well, and putting Auba on the right and having Tierney play in this really weird wing forward position, and all that kind of stuff. It felt a little bit, I don't know, I just felt he was being a little bit arrogant.
Okay. Might have been to sort of throw off the opposition as well, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. But it's good that he's trying. He's trying to new things, right? If he had, if they had stuck to his game plan and we were, 2-0 up, 3-0 up, we've been all, calling him a genius.
That's true.
So I think he can sort of get away with sort of trying new things out at this stage.
Yeah, it's quite funny, right? Like, I get when we had Wenger, we were complaining that he just basically plays the same game plan,
one plan
all the time.
Yeah.
And now we're complaining. It's like, too many tactics.
Yeah,
it's true.
And to be fair with Arteta, like normally I always complain that he takes too long to, like, if it isn't working, it takes too long to change things up. But I guess he sort of, even in a non-arrogant way, he sort of noticed his mistake, or it wasn't working that way, and he swapped them around, sort of not early, but still in the first half, right? So at least it looks like he sort of acknowledged that was a wrong move, and he swapped it up, which is quite good.
One of the things I've come to think about Arteta is that rotation almost is an irrelevant concept. It looks like sometimes he's rotating. I often wonder whether it's not that he's rotating. It's very specifically that every game he picks a team which he very specifically thinks is going to do a job in that game. And by virtue of that, rotation happens. So there are some people who and it's the only way I can rationalize times where he's played, for example, Saka for however many games in a row. And then other players, it looks on the face of it, he's resting this player and he's giving them. But, when I look at games like today and recently, maybe Olympiacos just gone is a bit of a red herring, but otherwise it kind of just feels that he's always playing teams he thinks will very specifically address the team that we're playing against. And I think that's okay, but I don't know if he's getting a bit used to the squad that he had at Man City, where everyone is just so elite that they don't necessarily need that continuity of playing every game. You can throw them in and bang, they'll put a world-class performance in.
Yeah, we're definitely not that, are we? So, I mean, in terms of the goals, we'll just cover them quickly because obviously there were a number of incidents in the game, a number of goals. So the first goal, Lingard, I mean, obviously it's a fantastic strike. From my point of view, I was a little bit disappointed with David Luiz again. Antonio is running at him, and I can understand why David Luiz is backing off as much as he does, but he backs off all the way into the box. Then he puts his hands behind his back, expecting a cross or a shot. And what Lingard does after that is quality. But I feel like, again, it's that kind of level of defending and almost trying to prevent the danger from even, coming near to our goal. It could have, he could have, I don't know. I feel like he could have done more rather than just backing off, and then just putting his hands behind his back. And we saw that. Was it the last game?
Yeah, I was going to say 2 in 2 games.
Yeah. So
same thing.
Yeah.
I think his level has dropped, Luiz. Like over the last, he's always been this error-prone defender, but he made up for that because when he wasn't making errors, he was actually like elite in terms of what he does. But over the last few games, there's just these things where you think, David Luiz should do better there. David Luiz should do better there. And it seems to be becoming a theme. And that's quite frustrating.
Would you extend his contract in the summer?
No.
You wouldn't.
I think they will, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, I agree.
But my mind's changed on that over the last couple of games. I actually thought a couple of games ago, I think we should give him another year. But no, like I think this is a reminder that if it's these kinds of performances, we don't need it.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
More from a mentoring side as well to the other youngsters. I think like he's a good presence in the dressing room from what I've read.
He's meant to be, isn't he?
So being like a mentor to all the other sort of young players there, and it's not like he's sitting on the bench; he's still coming out and playing most weeks.
I mean, if they renew him and he starts 75-80% of the games next season, and he's blocking someone like Saliba or Mario, whoever it's going to be, or Mavropanos, you probably then start to think,
yeah, I'd be okay with having him in the squad and like coming in on cup games here and there, but starting week in and week out.
But he's got the quality, like he's got the quality of being a man of the match performance sometimes, or a match loser other times. So he has got that class in him still. It's just a consistency, which is that's just Arsenal all over as well, isn't it? So
I think to your earlier point there, like I think if without him, I worry about who's the most senior central defender of the pack, in terms of, it feels to me, look, obviously none of us have ever been worked in football, but it feels to me that within positions like centre back, you've got a little coalition almost, they're all together and you need an experienced head there. Without him, who is it? Rob Holding? Is Rob Holding our most senior centre back? So maybe for that reason. And that's why, when not to segue too much, right? But when there was that article by in the Athletic, I think, of Sven Mislintat, and he was talking about Socrates, and one of the things that he was talking about as their reasons for signing Socrates was around that experience, that leadership around the centre group pack and being able to be a mentor to Mavropanos. And so clearly that's something that clubs feel that you need. And so without Luiz, we have no one like that.
Agreed.
Okay. So 2-0 was the free kick. So Saka gives away the free kick, and I mean, everyone just switches off, don't they? Players with backs to the ball, no one's paying any attention. I don't really know. Again, it comes down to what I said before, just not really switched on for a big game, for a Premier League game, and just not really on it, just not on it at all. And I mean, make it so easy for them. And obviously Leno should save it at his near post. I know Aaron and you were saying, I was saying as well, we were asking the question, has the referee blown his whistle? Why has he not pulled that back for not blowing his whistle? It didn't really get questioned. I don't even think
I think that's normal, isn't it? I thought that's what I don't know. I thought that's just the same happened with our goal as well, didn't it? After the foul.
So I have a lot of sympathy for our defenders, and it's very rare. I know like everyone is saying on Sky, like, oh, what are the defenders doing? But there were 2 or 3 things that, again, you probably need like a video replay for this, but if you watch it again, there are a couple of things that happen that I think make it very, very unlucky for us, or just outright wrong from the referee. So that the foul happens, right? And it's a soft foul, but okay, let's assume it's a foul, right? They have every right to give a foul. What then happens is the ball then rolls back. So the free kick is actually taken about 10 yards from where the foul actually happened. And if you look at the defenders, they're blocking the space where the free kick should be taken. But it's because Lingard takes a free kick about 10 feet back. 10 yards back from where the foul was. He then has the space to then play it to Bowen on the right-hand side. So everyone's saying, why aren't the defenders marking the space? They were marking the space because they were stood where the foul happened. And then if you watch the replay, John Moss is actually talking to Partey, having a word with him, because I think it was him that gave the foul. And whilst he's having a conversation with Partey, Jesse Lingard's playing the pass. And there's, I think, and then you look at him and he looks, I think Myers, he said this, he looks like he's about to blow. And then all of a sudden it looks like he realizes West Ham are in and that he can't blow.
I was just going to say, because it's quite funny, because I think if they had not scored that chance, I reckon he brings it back.
Yeah, I agree.
You see that all the time where they take a quick free kick they take a quick free kick it doesn't materialize into anything. Like they cock it up or whatever, and then the referee's like, "Oh, I'm going to blow it. I'll blow and bring it back," and it happens all the time. But yeah, I thought that it looked like he was going to call it back, blow his whistle, and he obviously didn't.
And yeah, like I'm kind of like reluctant to argue against it, because I actually think in that situation you should give the attacking team the advantage. So if West Ham want to take that free kick quickly, they should be entitled to. But what frustrates me is 9 times out of 10, they don't let that happen. Referee stops, blows, and waits for the whistle, and then they take the free kick. It just so happens.
Like I said, it happened with our goal as well, right? Exact same thing.
Yeah. So I think John Moss.
It does happen more often. It does happen more often than you're saying. 9 out of 10 times, it does happen. I've seen it. It's like quick free kicks happen all the time in the game.
But not there though, right? They're very rarely. When you give a free kick there, I think most players expect it, and it looks like our defenders were waiting for the whistle, and West Ham just played on.
Because normally in that well, like you said, the free kick wasn't. I didn't really pick up on that, but now I'm thinking about trying to remember the incident. It was taken back, like in terms of on this pitch, it was taken much further back. But normally when you get a free kick in that position, you're going to have a wall set up. So therefore, the referee will, and the keeper sets his wall, he sets whatever, blah blah. So the defense will get themselves ready for the free kick. So normally, I don't know if that's what they thought was going to happen. Like they were probably
that's what was happening. It looked like Leno was.
Yeah,
a wall was forming from where the free kick took place.
But I still think we're guilty of just. I mean, not even
100%. Yeah.
We switched off.
We switched off. We switched off. We should
again a smart team, Aaron. I know you're saying still. I agree with you. It's not right that it was taken 10 yards earlier, but a smarter team might have still kept hold of the ball or kicked the ball away or still stood in front of the goal. Being a bit more smarter about it.
I agree. I think one person should be like, "Where's the ball?"
We were naive, thinking, "Yeah, exactly. Where's the ball? Let's just keep an eye on the ball."
Maybe I don't know the rules, Nero, because like before this conversation, I was very non-sympathetic to Arsenal, but hearing all of this, firstly, I think that it's really interesting analysis, Aaron, because I didn't spot the distance difference. But Miles, I think your point about the wall, that's a really good point. So where do you draw the distinction? Like, so at what point? So plenty of times, I guess what I'm saying is free kicks are given, and obviously there's time spent arranging the wall. And the players don't just take the free kick. They don't take it while they're like.
Do you remember Henry's goal against Chelsea?
Yeah,
It's a good point. So what's the rule? But so I don't understand. What is the rule? What are you? Because surely
that's why I thought he has to wait for the. They have to wait for the whistle.
There was an incident in the Brighton game a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if
that's
you guys saw it, right?
Yeah.
Where I can't remember what happened, but they took the free kick, and then after they took the free kick, the referee blew the whistle. And then it went in.
Yeah, it was like a fraction after they took the free kick, right? Or like literally half a second
before, like whilst it was midair. And then the referee gave it, then disallowed it, and then just gave it, and then disallowed it again. But it just seems that I think that was we were very, very unlucky, and I think the referee messed that up. But fair play to West Ham. They took a chance, and I think in that situation you should be entitled to take it quickly because it's your advantage. And fair play to them. They punished us.
To be fair, Leno should have done a lot better as well. I don't know what he was doing, to be honest.
That was really bad by Leno.
All been avoided. Yeah,
but I wonder, Nero, again. I wonder, was Leno just going? Well, hang on a minute. Obviously, this is I have to put a wall up. This is not going to be allowed. Like, I don't know. At the time, again, I was looking at Leno going, "What are you doing? That's terrible. That's awful goalkeeping.
Yeah,
awful." But in his mind, if he's thinking, well, hang on, obviously this is going to be retaken because I haven't had the chance to do anything.
I still think
he still went for it though. He's still trying to save it there, right? Even if you think the goal's offside, you still try and save it, won't you?
Half-heartedly, but how many times do you see that where a keeper knows that the referee is about to blow or whatever, the striker shoots, and they kind of half-heartedly try and do something because it's instinctive. Like, I don't know. Like,
was our players proper appealing for it after? I can't
remember. No, that's true.
That's what I mean. So then that shows that they didn't think there was anything wrong with what happened.
Our players, they don't appeal for anything, do they?
Exactly. We have this conversation.
Arteta didn't mention it once in his post-match interview, though. So he didn't.
If we'd have lost, he might have mentioned it. I don't know, but
I think if you watch the
Spurs have got a penalty.
He said sloppy goals. I think he just said we were just letting sloppy goals, which for me it seems there wasn't a referee error there. And I think it was a team error, not a referee error. That one.
I think it can be both.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's referee error, but then we made it easy for them after that.
Yeah, because I think it also comes back to this consistency point here, right? Where we're constantly just seeing different interpretations of the rules and different precedents being set. And I think this might be one of those occasions where, yeah, actually West Ham were allowed to do what they did, but quite often, legitimately speaking, referees will not allow that to happen. And maybe we should be more professional and just a bin switch. I think particularly, when you've got your backs to the action.
You don't do that, right? Yeah. They all turned around. Yeah, it's a bit. I think Leno was turned around as well. Yeah. But yeah, as I said, like the referee, at least he kept it consistent with both goals. Like our second goal was exactly the same thing, wasn't it? Which probably, to be fair, that's probably more of a controversial goal than their goal. But the same thing, he let the attacking team have the advantage, and we scored from it.
So 2-0, and then the third one doesn't come that much longer afterwards. So it ends up being a Souček goal, goes down as a goal for him. But Antonio really just completely bosses Luiz. Luiz doesn't even get off the ground for the header. And again, I think poor defending from him. We said in the preview the other day that Antonio is their danger man and likely to cause us problems. But I expected a bit more from Luiz there personally. And yeah, kind of 3-0, and we're thinking game's done. And I was actually quite worried about watching us play and seeing how lackluster we were. And we just had no fire. I was thinking, God knows what the score is going to be. They could go on to. So it seemed like every time they were going at our goal, they were scoring. So welcome surprise that we managed to kind of come back into the game, I guess, after about 35 minutes or so. We started to actually have a bit of the ball. Ødegaard started to dictate a little bit, and it was really, really good from coming down our right hand side. Chambers fizzed it in, like really, really difficult cross to control. The Lacazette goal, I was really impressed actually. I thought Lacazette had a good game personally, but I was really impressed with the goal. I know it took a deflection, but he's actually really, really good at that. Like when the ball's in the box and he gets a chance, he doesn't have to think about it too much. That snapshot that he has is actually really, really good. Okay, it's going off target, but it was a really difficult ball to control. He kind of gets a bit lucky with the control because it kind of comes off his, I think, leg and then bounces off his thigh or somewhere, his chest, and then. But he's already thinking about I'm going to shoot, and gets us back into the game, and 3-1, and gets us back into the game.
He's so good at working in small spaces. There's lots of times goals I can think about. You remember even there's that goal that he scored against Tottenham a while back, and it was very hard to control, and it was in the box. It got us back in the game, I think, that goal as well. And for some reason also, what's in my head is, do you remember the, I think it was Lacazette, but do you remember the Ozil goal when he made it 3-2 against Liverpool? Do you remember when we had that comeback? And it was Lacazette's assist, which was, again, very tight space, kind of like flick. He's good. Like, it looked like an amazing finish, didn't it? But so that deflection was pretty meaty in the end.
So we go in.
Sorry, Mike, to touch upon. So on that third goal as well that we conceded, it was another error, again, defensive error. And it wasn't Luis' bit, but before then it was Tierney who gave the ball away. And again, it was started from playing from the. I think Leno gave him a poor ball, to be honest, because he couldn't really control it, and he tried flicking it forward, got intercepted, and then they scored. So
I thought it was just a bad pass from Tierney.
The ball, it wasn't I think he played it out to Tierney. It was like sort of bobbling up to him, sort of thing. So I think he was under pressure, so he had to sort of play it straight away. But either way, it's just another defensive error from playing from the back, and that was probably the most frustrating goal for me in terms, because it's just we're not learning from this mistakes. It always seems to happen from our left-hand side for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. After that, obviously Lacazette scores. We go into halftime. Sorry, at 3-1. Come out the second half, and all of a sudden, we carry on from how we ended the first half, but all of a sudden there's this kind of impetus, a bit of drive. We actually, maybe it's the goal that gave us that belief that we could actually come back into the game. Lacazette is one-on-one with the keeper, isn't he? Shortly after we resume, and lobs it over, and it gets cleared off the line. Positive start to the second half, and then the own goal from West Ham. Again, good work down our right-hand side. Ødegaard, was it the reverse pass? Was it this one, the reverse pass?
Yeah,
Ødegaard into Chambers. Yeah, that one. And again, really, really good ball, like dangerous ball in from Chambers. His crossing was excellent today. Again, we were saying, like you were saying before the game, we weren't expecting him to kind of be that dangerous going forward, but he was. And yeah, so we're 3-2, and we had plenty of time really to get back into the game and to potentially equalize and maybe go on to win it. But yeah, any thoughts on the goal? And
I think the only thing is that came as a result of the free kick, right? That second goal,
the one we shouldn't have had.
Yeah, I think we were it wasn't a foul. I
think we fouled them.
Yeah, I have no idea how John Moss gave that towards us in our favour. This is why I'm a bit less annoyed about the free kick that they scored, because I think John Moss got that wrong. How he gave a foul for that, I have no idea. And then also a bit later on, when Lingard was actually through on goal, and then he took it back.
For head injury, apparently.
Was it a head injury? I don't know why he took it back.
That was the reason he thought one of our players had a head injury. But
okay, fine. Yeah. All right, fine. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. But again, I would, if I was a West Ham fan, I'd also be very annoyed about it. I just think John Moss is a terrible ref. He just gets so much wrong. But look, it helped us massively today, on balance anyway.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because, from the moment we scored that first goal in the first half, and, the time from that to the end of the first half, plus all this period that we're just referring to now, it was just a completely dominating performance where you didn't feel like we didn't deserve to get back in the game. And to think that from how we were in that first 35 minutes, where, like you said, Miles, I thought the same thing at that point where I was like, this could get messy, to then getting to a point where you're like, my God, we are dominating in a way that I've perhaps not seen us dominate this season. And Odegaard just at that point of the game was completely dictating everything that was going on, right?
The whole game. Everything was going through him. Everything was going through him.
Because I tried to look and figure out what we were doing differently in the first 13 minutes. I know we moved Auba out to the left from the right, but like it was such a shift in what we were doing. We were so bad, and then all of a sudden we were really good. Like what do you think?
You can't
changed?
Explain it.
Was it West Ham as well? Because obviously West Ham played the first half an hour, high intensity, high tempo. Maybe they tired down or they slowed down, and then gave us opportunity to then go on the front foot.
Yeah, I think it's almost like they scored that third goal a bit too early. Yeah, if we were as 2-0, and then they scored the third goal. Yeah, at like the 65th minute, I think it would have killed us off. But
you think in their heads as well, then they just psychologically they thought let's stand back a bit more.
Yeah, I don't think they knew what to do at 3-0, because I thought they think, should we go for it or should they sit back? And they did a bit of both and didn't do either very well.
I think it's a too early thing that you said, like, because I think we touched upon this on another session once, where we mentioned about how it almost doesn't matter what the scoreline is. Whoever scored the last goal has the momentum. And when we scored that one to make it 3-1, you felt the whole game change. You felt them suddenly go, oh, hang on a minute, what do we do? And you felt us kind of go, we're completely in control of this game. And the weird thing is like, to your question, Aaron, and what changed, the hard bit to figure out what changed is it wasn't like the transformation happened at half time. It happened after we scored that goal in the first half. So there was no time for a debrief or a change of tactics, at that point. Yeah, exactly.
But even before we scored the goal, we were getting in behind, and like Odegaard, I think might just be Odegaard and how he just started dictating things a bit more. But it was a very big shift, and which just seemed to carry on. And then halftime obviously helped things, and the energy levels was better. But I think perhaps it might have been the midfield. I think Xhaka and Partey were just nowhere in the first 30 minutes, and Partey finally looked like he came into the game a bit.
Yeah, Partey was pissing me off. He was taking shots from everywhere today. When he did it for the first couple of times, we were like, "Oh yeah, Partey shooting." And every game now, and he's really pissing me off.
And it's so bad.
Yeah, it's not even close.
So
the one today, he had so much space around him, and he's still.
He's obviously smashing them in training. He must be. He absolutely must be like every week, just pinging them top corner.
It's not like he was under pressure. If you're under pressure, I get it, but he had so much space.
Maybe he's got he gets a bonus like every shot from 25, 30 yards out.
But none of them are close.
Oh, close, right? So yeah. I think El Neni must. I think it must be El Neni getting in his ear, going, I scored a screamer last week.
Need some one-on-one training with El Neni. Spurs almost went to 3. Sorry, I was just watching Spurs 2-0. Okay, yeah. So 3-2. But West Ham still had their chances, didn't they? Following that, there was that Tierney double block. And then Antonio, luckily for us, missed a chance to make it 4-2. I don't think he'll be able to explain how he missed that. But yeah,
in his defence, I think he was that full stretch. So yeah, I don't think he could have done much more.
Yeah, on another day that goes in, I think it's just very unlucky.
It's like Gaza 96, isn't it, all over again?
And then obviously we make a couple of substitutions. Smith Rowe came on, Pepe came on. And then, I think it was about 10 minutes to go. Lacazette's goal. I was really, really impressed with. But Pepe had another game where he's come off the bench, but had made an impact. His cross was a fantastic cross, right foot. Doesn't normally use his right foot, so I was quite surprised he even crossed it, to be honest, because he's always trying to get back on his left. And Lacazette was in the right place and bullet header in. And at that point, I thought we're going to go on to win the game.
Was that the reverse pass? I think that was a reverse pass, wasn't it? Or was that not the Ødegaard one?
I think that was
the second goal, was it?
I think it was the second goal. Yeah.
Mate,
he still got the assist of the assist.
The assist of the assist.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. But mate, I was so like confused because like obviously when the header went in, like, obviously I was like jumping up and down, texting, and I looked up. And I was like, Aubameyang, they're celebrating. I swear, I thought my eyes were playing tricks to me. I swear, I just went off on Martinelli. Like, what the hell's going on here? And then I sort of figured out what was going on when I saw the replays. But I think it's, again, mate. I'm just surprised at how quickly like Odegaard is just like running the show. Like again, like a lot of like world class players have come to this league and have struggled, especially in the number 10 role as well. I say very highly technical role as well. It's not an easy role to sort of get into straight away. And mate, he was just pulling all the strings for us today.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Like all these balls, like he like plays the balls perfectly each time too. And like for the Chambers assists and even the Pepe assist, it was just he just knows the right time to be playing those passes. And I was with the Pepe cross, like as you touched upon, I think I was very impressed with that because I've always been a criticism of his right foot, and the fact that he got that ball like bang on target was really satisfying.
It was a great cross, yeah.
Great.
I mean, if he'd done that on his left foot from the other side, I would have been impressed. So the fact that he did it with his
and the fact that he's got the confidence to do that now, maybe I don't know if that's something Arteta's been working with him or he's clearly practicing something. But the fact that he didn't think about turning back, he just went for it and he delivered. And
I think, like you touched upon, like after he came on, he was seemingly involved in everything.
Yeah.
He was, he had those a few times where he was in the box and he was getting into really good, there was really good half chances. I think there are a couple where we wondered, could he be appealed for a penalty a little bit more? I think if they were given, they probably would have over soft.
I don't even think the chance. There was one chance that again, and we mentioned this in the last episode, where he sort of just he's trying to bend it into that far corner, so he's not trying to go for power, but he just doesn't get any power behind it and it goes straight at the keeper. There was one of those, and it was on his left as well, and I don't think that was a half chance. I think that was a really, really good chance. That's the frustrating thing with him, really. He's got it in his locker, like he's got the talent, or just he's got a great left foot, but often he's not. But
at least the positives of that is
execute.
Positives that he's getting into those positions and getting those chances, right? So the next step is to then, if he came on and he was a ghost for the whole half, then that would have been a bit more disappointing. But he got involved straight away, which was quite positive.
We want him to influence games, don't we? We want him to influence games, and I think if he can, and he's doing that now, he's really influencing games. But I think the execution of some of the things that he's doing, obviously it needs to improve. But I think if we just look at it holistically now, right, and just say we got ourselves in a position where we were genuinely probably disappointed not to win in the end. And that's inconceivable from being 3-0 down. So I know a huge inquest needs to happen for how we got ourselves in a situation where we're 3-0 down after 35 minutes. But I think if you look back on all the games recently, where many of these games we've come back from a goal down, or we've had suffered kind of adversity or whatever it is in some of these games, I think we're showing a lot of character in games this season now, over the last kind of 6-7 games. So I don't think today's results happens if it hadn't been for some of the things happened in our previous games, if that makes any sense. It's pretty impressive.
I think go on, mate. Yeah, I think for me the main kind of recurring theme for the last kind of month or two is we're a good team and we play well, but we do not have the ability to play well for a full 90 minutes. And what's happening is in those periods where we aren't playing well, we just need to stop making defensive errors, because ultimately we know that we will have a half an hour or maybe just intermittent periods throughout the game where we will create chances now. It's not like before where we weren't creating chances. And if we are taking those chances, we will win most games. The problem that is happening is in those moments where we're not really on top, we gift the opposition goals, or we do just horrendously stupid stuff. And if we can cut that out, we will start winning games consistently. But for whatever reason, the errors just seem to be getting worse rather than getting better.
It's like when we can't play well, like every single player all of a sudden don't know how to pass, and like we just give the ball. Like, it's not like one or two players that are playing badly, that suddenly all 11 players are just poor. And like I was touched upon before, I don't know if that's a mental thing which Arteta needs to work on. But Raj, to go back to your point, I think about players influencing, I think we've come leap and bounds since last year, when previously, if Aubameyang has a bad game, like, it's guaranteed we're going to lose the game. He's the only one that could do anything. Whereas now we've literally got 5, 6, 7 players that, even if Auba's not playing well, they can influence games. And I think that is a credit to where we've come. Even Lacazette now, like start of the season, I'm sure a few of you as well, like I would have said, yeah, just sack him off. Like we don't need him anymore. He's not really adding much value to the team. Although I thought he was a good player, but he wasn't sort of getting, like influencing games. But now he's adding goals and assists to his games. He's definitely become an influencer. So I think, yeah, as Aaron was saying, mate, like cut out the defensive errors, then I think we've definitely got a lot more leaders and influencers in the team. So we're going the right way. It's just disappointing sometimes when we, like, 2 goals today were defensive errors.
Yeah. So I was going to say, I mean, obviously a point today, I guess in terms of our league position, probably sums up our season to a certain extent. We're very, very inconsistent. I think our last 9 results have been 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats. Yeah, apparently. But yeah, so one point, but you touched on Ødegaard, Nero, and how good he's been. So I saw a tweet earlier with some of the stats from the game today. So I don't know if you guys saw this. So pretty impressive. I mean, there's loads, but 93% pass accuracy, which is for a guy who's constantly forward passing and looking for runners. That's a really good pass completion rate. 95 touches. I mean, there's loads here. 16 penalty area entries, which was the most in the game. 9 crosses, 6 duels won, 5 touches in the opposition box, 4 take-ons, 4 chances created, 3 shots, 2 fouls won, 1 shot on target. I mean, all round, yeah, I don't say all round display. I mean, the stats kind of show it, but how key this guy has become for us, even though he's only here potentially until the end of the season, and how much he's brought to us in terms of going forward. It's amazing, isn't it? It's remarkable, really. And yeah, I mean, I think I know the answer to the question, but obviously we need to, I hope the club are working on getting some sort of deal done where he's going to sign permanently. I don't know how difficult that's going to be and how much that might cost, but I hope that they've started the conversations with Madrid.
I think I'll say that's number 1 priority for the summer, to sign him on. I think, yeah, it's just when you compare that Benfica game, do you remember? I think it was the first leg game where he was getting into like spaces, but like no one was picking him out, and all of a sudden within a month now, like everyone is like giving him the ball, he's coming back collecting it. Like in that like 4 or 5 games, he's gone from just being a new boy in the team to pretty much like, it feels like he's been there for like 3-4 years, just pulling the strings. It's absolutely incredible.
I think,
yeah,
I think the challenge isn't going to be Madrid, but it's going to be him, right? If it gets to summer and he's done really well and really enjoying himself here, is he really going to want to go back to play under Zidane, who, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to like him that much?
But will Zidane be the manager?
Zidane,
we don't
yeah,
know.
I think the club rate him, and hence why they loaned him out. They haven't sold him. I think the club wants him. You're right. The key thing is Zidane, really.
Yeah,
and that's why secretly now I'm just hoping Real Madrid just like smash every game of the season now and like win everything they can. So Zidane's
yeah.
If I'm him, that Odegaard's played more league minutes for Arsenal than he has for Real Madrid
this season.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In what, like 10
No,
games
as in his Real Madrid career.
Oh, really?
Do you understand? Like, so it's like it's really.
I mean,
you know his choice. You know what his choice will be. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, obviously, he's playing so well for us, and he's starting games as well, and he's obviously putting in performances. He's going to get noticed not just by Madrid, but by potentially other teams, potentially bigger teams and bigger clubs. So, I mean, obviously, it does help a lot that he's been able to almost trial us, and we've been able to trial him to a certain extent. So yeah, hopefully that might sway his decision if he does have a say in it and he has the option to come to us. I think it's interesting because obviously in the summer we were looking at a number of different creative players, and Auba was the one that we were heavily linked with, and apparently, almost got to the point where we were going to buy him for 50 odd million. And obviously that didn't materialize, it didn't happen, and we spent the money on Thomas Partey. But I think it's interesting, or I'm hoping that the club looking at it like, with the fact that we've been able to, like I said, almost trial Ødegaard, new player coming into new league. We know what he's about. We know what he offers. He fits into the team well. Arteta clearly likes him, fits into Arteta's sort of style of play and tactics, seems to get along with everyone. Seems to train well. He's just been made captain of the Norwegian team. So you can tell that he's obviously got something about him in terms of leadership. It's almost a case of they weren't willing to spend the 50 million on Auba last summer, but if Ødegaard is in that kind of price range, they should just be putting the money down, really. I don't know how much Madrid would want for him. I've no idea, but you probably think it's in that sort of, I don't know, 50 million, maybe a bit more. But the fact that we've had him for 6 months and you can see the impact he's brought to the team, Auba would have been a risk to a certain extent, right? 50 million, but you don't know if it's going to work out. With Ødegaard, you know what you're going to get. Yeah, he's proven himself. I'm not saying he's going to, I'd say he's proven himself. In such a short space of time. Said it last time. You would not have thought that he's never played for Arsenal before. You would not have thought he's never played a Premier League game before January. So,
I would go all out. I would say, like, even if it means use up your whole budget on securing him. I would, even if it means 60, 70 million, I would go all out and just get him in there. And part of that is because I think the rest of the squad doesn't look as fragile as it did sort of 4 or 5 months ago, where we thought, we'll need a cam, we'll need a left back, we need centre backs, we need a right back. Like, Chambers looks, only 2 games, but he looks like he can do the job there. The rest of the team, the fact that we're rotating so much shows that we've got that squad there. Still got Saliba to come back. So I don't think where we were sort of 6 months ago saying, we need another striker because now Lacazette's doing all right as well. Sort of 6 months ago where we thought, we need, quite a lot of changes in the squad. I think, if securing him is probably more important than sort of fixing the other areas, which isn't looking as weak as it did 6 months ago.
So I think it's quite funny because there's some funny similarities with him and Ozil in some ways, right? Because, well, firstly, just they're both left-footed number 10s, but also before they went to Real Madrid, Arsene Wenger spoke to them both about joining Arsenal. They both chose to join Real Madrid. And that is because Ødegaard even mentioned that, right? He was like, yeah, I had a good feeling about the club. It just didn't happen. Ozil said basically the same thing. So that'll be quite funny from that respect, then going from Real Madrid to Arsenal. But, Nero, like, I completely agree. I think it's got to be the priority. I actually don't think it will cost us 60 to 70 million. Like, I don't think it would cost us that much necessarily, because we might be able to potentially manufacture a bit of a Fabregas type situation here where I think Odegaard sounds like he's desperate to feel settled somewhere, and he probably feels quite settled with us now. And it might get to the end of the season where he says, listen, I want to leave and I only want to go to them. I only want to go to Arsenal. And Real Madrid may want to fund, if they want to try and get Mbappe or whoever it is that they want to, kickstart them again, they're going to need to make some sales. So I personally can't see it being a case where it will be 60, 70 million. But I agree with you with the general point that I think it needs to be our priority. And I think, however, let's just say if it ends up being 50, 60, I don't know. He's 22 years old. He's got ages. He's going to get better. It's a no-brainer for me. Just got to do it.
Absolutely. I was the same way when you were talking about... we talked about Özil and Ødegaard. You should have added like every other superstar that Wenger almost got, but he didn't.
Yeah, the list is endless, right?
Yeah. Another good thing about today is it's good to see Partey complete 9 minutes, because since he's come back from injury, he's always been sort of taken off after sort of 55, 60 minutes and sort of managed with wrapped in cotton wool. So it's good that he was actually completing 9 minutes for us today, which is quite encouraging.
And nice to see Martinelli get minutes
at
the end as well, right?
Yeah, that was good.
I mean, we said before the game, right? We said it'll be great to get 4 points out of this game in Liverpool. So that's still possible.
Yeah.
Now, if we played like they played second half for the whole of Liverpool game, we could. We could.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also think, like I said, I think I said this last week, I think West Ham will give us a much tougher game than Liverpool will.
And they
but
did.
Who knows? Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think we find new ways to make life difficult for ourselves every game. So let's see what happens against Liverpool. It'll be interesting. But yeah, absolutely. If we're going to try and push for that top 6, I think 3 points is a must.
All right, guys. Brilliant. Good chat. Thanks again. So we've got a bit of a break now until our next game, as you say, Liverpool in a couple of weeks. So hopefully the players that are going on, our players that are going on international duty come back in one piece, and hopefully Saka doesn't play 3 games for England. But yeah, we'll see you guys hopefully in the week for maybe a special episode. But until then, boys, thanks very much. Catch you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.